Today, I want to talk about a very important health topic that impacts every single one of us. I'm talking about food-borne illnesses, all right? And I want to start the conversation by discussing salmonella. First of all, have you ever gotten sick from food that you've eaten? No. Anybody in the audience gotten sick?
I've gotten sick from food, but I don't know if I've had that.
Right. There's different degrees, right?
Yeah.
So you're a cook, but you're very aware of all the issues with food-borne illness, bacterial contamination, why you have to cook things properly, right? Okay. So you've all heard of salmonella. Well, that's a group of harmful bacteria that can be found in raw poultry, eggs, meat, and also in some fruits and vegetables as well. Now, the CDC estimates that salmonella causes 1.2 million illnesses in the U.S. every year, which is a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Right?
That's scary.
Now, in many cases, a person with salmonella can kind of just wait it out and get better. The infection will pass. They won't have a severe illness, but some can have a severe illness and wind up being hospitalized, and they can even die from it. Again, it depends on how your own health, your immune system, things like that. So food-borne illnesses as a whole kill over 400,000 Americans every year.
Really? That's a lot.
It's a lot of people.
Man.
You know, when we talk about people dying from other things, we tend not to think about this is right in our backyard, right in our wheelhouse, in our house. So the issue of note here is not what you can do to minimize your exposure to salmonella, right? We're going to get to that later. But the problem that may arise if indeed you become infected, okay? So you see there's a lot of problem with antibiotic resistance among animals, right? Because a lot of farmers give antibiotics to animals in huge doses whether they're sick or not.
Why?
And they do that so the animals don't get sick. They want to avoid disease, to prevent disease from happening in the future, right?
Because then it probably, you know, if one animal gets sick, then the whole,
right.
you know,
so they're basically covering their bases, even though nobody's sick. But that overuse isn't good because what happens is the bacteria quickly develop resistance. Bacteria are living organisms, right? So they kind of find ways to survive that, right? They adapt. And if a farm animal harbors a bacteria that's resistant to an antibiotic, then if you become infected with that, either through handling the food or eating it, you too would have a problem because that bacteria would be antibiotic resistant. So that's why this is a problem. This means antibiotics could not help you get better if you got sick. Right? This is happening everywhere. As farming becomes larger and larger, it's happening on a huge scale worldwide. Another major complicating factor is that, you know, of course, the strength and power of the agriculture industry. You know, they want to have farmers produce as much as possible. But, you know, sometimes there can be conflicts, right? You want to produce as many animals, but is this the safest? So we try to watch these things closely and regulate them, but it's just something you all should be aware of when you prepare your food in your own home.
So I have a question for you. I have a question right quick. So you're saying that if an animal comes from a farm and that animal is slaughtered, whatever, in it, that disease can stay in that piece of meat until it gets to my kitchen?
Right. So let's say you had a chicken that had salmonella at a poultry farm, and that chicken was slaughtered and came to your home, that salmonella would be on that piece of chicken. And when you handle the chicken, that's why they always say, you know, in your kitchen you want to have separate cutting boards and knives and wash things thoroughly. That's why, so you don't get these food-borne illnesses. Interesting,
I'll
right?
get my own chickens.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So now let's talk about ways to minimize our chances of exposure to salmonella and other potentially hazardous food-borne bacteria. You know, we can avoid eating raw or barely cooked eggs, which I'm a lover of a good runny egg. Don't eat raw or undercooked beef, poultry, or pork. Right.
You want to cook your stuff thoroughly.
Yeah, you want to cook it. So here's a good one for all my home cooks out there. Don't thaw foods at room temperature. Thaw them in your refrigerator.
Right.
My mom was not good at that one.
Yeah, well, the problem is, if you've done that, when you thaw it in your refrigerator, it takes so much longer, right? You got to plan it forever, but
you got to plan ahead.
But you got to plan ahead for that, so it's important.
Yeah. Wash your hands well with soap and warm water before and after handling food. You know, keep all your kitchen surfaces clean before prepping food on them, and don't mix cooked food with raw food or use the same utensils, that cold cross-contamination thing when you're cooking.
Right. A lot of people do that when they grill. You take your piece of meat, it's been marinating on a thing, right, and you have it in your pan or whatever, you go cook it on the grill. Now, if that meat was contaminated, the bacteria is in that, right? You take it off the grill, you cooked it well, now you're dumping it back onto that pan. So remember, you got to get the new pan when you've done that. Those things happen a lot.
Yeah. All right. We can. You can use different plates and cutting boards to slice them on. Cook each kind of meat at its correct minimum temperature. Right. that's a whole thing in the kitchen. Get a kitchen thermometer, right?
Yeah.
Wash raw fruits and vegetables well and peel them if possible. Do not wash with soap or disinfectant. Friction, not water temperature, is the key. So scrub your fruits and vegetables under regular tap water. And for an extra layer of security, have 10% vinegar solution standing by. This mixture has proven to be very effective at removing bacteria and pesticide residue.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a good one. So you got to scrub the bacteria off. You can't just rinse it off, you know. So scrubbing your fruits and vegetables is important.
And this all sounds like a lot, but it really isn't. If you break it all down, it's just about knowing these things and keeping them in your mind. Washing your hands, separate utensils, wash your stuff beforehand, cooking it thoroughly. All that should be part of your routine, and that'll help lower your risk of getting a foodborne illness.
Absolutely.